Meet someone earning $52,000 a year. She's investing every month. She picked a solid index fund. She's not panicking, not day trading, not doing anything wrong. 5 years in, she checks her portfolio. She's contributed $30,000 of her own money. The market has added $6,700. 5 years of compounding. $6,700. This is the part of the compound interest story that nobody shows you. The years where your money is barely working, where the growth you were promised is technically there but functionally invisible. I ran the full math, year by year, on when compounding actually turns on for someone like her. The answer changes everything about how you should think about your money right now. Every personal finance channel on the internet has shown you the compound interest chart, the one that starts flat and then curves upward into a mountain of money, and every time the message is the same. Start early, stay consistent, let compounding do the work. And look, that's not wrong, but it leaves out the most important detail. That chart never labels where you are on it. It shows you year 1 and year 30, and it lets you assume the magic is happening the whole time. It's not. Here's what the chart actually looks like for a real person. If you invest $500 a month and earn an average 8% annual return, here's what your first 5 years actually look like. Year 1, you put in $6,000 and the market adds $225. Year 2, the market adds $742. Year 3, $1,301. Year 5, you've contributed $30,000 and your total gains are $6,738. In 5 years, the market has given you less than what you contribute in a single year. You are doing all the work. The compounding is rounding error. But nobody tells you that part because it's not inspiring. It doesn't make a good thumbnail, and it definitely doesn't sell courses. You've probably heard the famous thought experiment. A penny doubled every day for 30 days becomes over $5 million. That's the example everyone reaches for when they want to explain how powerful compounding is. And it's technically correct, but it assumes a 100% daily return. That's not a rate of return. That's a fantasy. In the real world, the S&P 500 returns roughly 7 to 10% a year before inflation. After inflation, more like 6 to 7. That's not a penny doubling. That's a penny growing by a fraction of a cent. And at low balances, that fraction is basically invisible. Let's make this concrete. Meet Lisa. Lisa is 28 years old. She works as a marketing coordinator making $52,000 a year. After taxes, that's roughly $3,380 a month. She's heard all the advice. Start early. Invest consistently. Let compounding work for you. So she does. She sets up an automatic transfer, $500 a month into a broad market index fund. No gimmicks, no stock picking, no crypto. Just steady, disciplined investing. $500 a month. That's not nothing. For someone taking home $3,380, that's nearly 15% of her income. She's making real sacrifices to make this work. She's skipping trips, she's cooking at home, she's being intentional, she's doing everything right. So let's watch what happens. Year by year, no hypotheticals, real math. Year 1, Lisa contributes $6,000. The market gives her $225. Her total balance, $6,225. The market's contribution, 3.6% of her portfolio. She earned $225 for a year of discipline. That's $18 a month. That's not even a streaming subscription. Year 2. She puts in another $6,000. The market adds $742. Total balance, about $13,000. But $12,000 of that is money she physically deposited. The compound growth is $967. In 2 years. Year 3. Market adds $1,301. Total gains after 3 years. $2,268. She could have earned that in 2 weeks at her job. This is the part that breaks people. You do everything the experts tell you. You invest consistently for 3 years. And the growth you can show for it is pocket change. Meanwhile, every finance influencer on your feed is posting about how compounding built their wealth. You're not doing anything wrong. The math just isn't doing much for you yet. Year 5. Lisa's portfolio, $36,738. She's put in $30,000. The market has added $6,738. That's 18% of her portfolio from gains. 82% is just her deposits. 5 years in, she is still the engine. The compounding is still a passenger. But something is happening beneath the surface. Something she can't see yet. Every year, the market's contribution is getting a little bigger. Not because the return rate changed, but because the base is growing. 8% of $6,000 is $480. 8% of $36,000 is almost $3,000. Same rate. Completely different result. Because the base matters more than the rate. And there is a specific year, a crossover point, where something fundamental shifts. It's the year when the market's annual gain on Lisa's portfolio exceeds what she contributes for the entire year. Before that crossover, Lisa is the engine. Her $6,000 a year in contributions does more than the market does. After the crossover, the portfolio is the engine. The market earns more in a year than she puts in. For Lisa, that crossover hits at year 10. Year 10. Her portfolio has reached $91,473. That year alone, the market added $6,758. Her contribution was $6,000. For the first time, her money earned more than she deposited. The portfolio just outworked her. Now watch what happens from here. Year 11. Portfolio, $105,290. Annual gain, $7,817. She's now past the $100,000 mark, and Charlie Munger's famous line starts to make sense. He said the first $100,000 is the hardest. He didn't just mean emotionally, he meant mathematically. Below it, you're pushing the boulder. Above it, the boulder starts rolling on its own. Year 15. Portfolio, $173,019. The market adds $13,008 that year alone. That's more than double her annual contribution. And here's a number that would have felt impossible at year 1. Her portfolio is now gaining over $1,100 a month, more than double what she puts in every month. The compounding isn't just helping anymore, it's leading. Year 20. Portfolio, $294,510. She's contributed $120,000 total over 20 swaya years. The market has added $174,510. For the first time, the majority of her wealth, 59%, was not earned at her job. It was generated by the portfolio itself. The portfolio now gains nearly $2,000 a month without her doing anything. Year 25. Portfolio, $475,513. Annual market gain, $36,191. That's 6 times what she puts in per year. She contributes $6,000. The market contributes $36,000. She is no longer the engine, she's barely even the steering wheel. The money is building itself. Year 30. Portfolio, $745,180. She put in $180,000 over 30 years. The market added $565,180. 76% of her wealth came from compounding. Her money earned more than triple what she personally invested. That's the compound interest chart people show you. But they skip straight to this moment. They never show you that for the first decade, Lisa was doing almost all the work. And that is the most dangerous omission in personal finance. Lisa's story sounds encouraging. And it is. But here's the uncomfortable reality. Most people don't get to year 10 uninterrupted. Not because they lack discipline, because life happens. And when life happens before the crossover, it doesn't just slow you down. It resets the clock. Let's rerun Lisa's numbers with one change. In year 4, she has an emergency. A car breaks down, a medical bill hits, something. She pulls $8,000 out of her portfolio to cover it. Just $8,000, just once. Watch what it does. Without the withdrawal, Lisa hits the crossover at year 10. With it, she doesn't hit it until year 11, 1 year later. And by year 20, that single $8,000 withdrawal has cost her nearly $29,000 in lost growth. By year 30, it's cost her over $63,000. An $8,000 emergency turned into a $63,000 loss. That's not because the market punished her, that's because she pulled money off the runway before the plane could take off. She reset the compounding base at the worst possible time, during the flat years when every dollar matters most. And this is what happens to millions of people. According to the Federal Reserve, the median retirement savings for American households between 55 and 64 is roughly $185,000. That means half of all households approaching retirement have less than that. Many of them invested for decades. But between emergencies, job losses, medical bills, and the simple cost of living, they never stayed above the crossover long enough for compounding to take over. They spent their entire investing lives on the flat part of the curve, and then started withdrawing right when the math was about to get interesting. There's also a psychological cost that doesn't get enough attention. When you invest $500 a month for 2 years, and your total gains are $967. The growth feels almost insulting. You sacrificed real money every month, and the market gave you what you earn in less than a week at work. Meanwhile, your social media feed is full of people talking about how compounding built their wealth. It makes you feel like you're doing something wrong, so people quit. Or they never start. Not because they're lazy, not because they don't understand compounding, but because the honest early math is demoralizing and nobody warned them it would be. So if the crossover is what matters, the question isn't should you invest. Of course you should. The question is how do you reach the crossover faster? And there are 3 levers that actually move the needle. Lever 1, income is the accelerator, not budgeting. Below the crossover, every extra dollar you earn matters more than every dollar you save. This isn't about hustle culture, it's about math. If Lisa gets a raise, or a better job, or a side income stream, and her contribution goes from $500 a month to $700 a month, watch what happens. At $500 a month, Lisa hits $294,510 by year 20. At $700 a month, she hits $412,314. That's $117,000 more. Not from a better fund, not from timing the market, from $200 a month in extra contributions. That's a modest raise, a freelance project, a skill that made her more valuable. That does more for her trajectory than any budgeting hack ever could. You can't frugal your way across the gap when the gap is 6 figures wide. You have to earn your way across it. Lever 2, protect the base at all costs. We just saw what one $8,000 withdrawal did to Lisa's outcome. $63,000 in lost growth over 30 years. The biggest enemy of early-stage wealth isn't a bad stock pick. It's the emergency that forces you to drain your investment account. This is why an emergency fund isn't just nice to have. It's load-bearing infrastructure. It's the thing that keeps your investment base intact, so compounding has something to work with when you finally cross that line. Every time you drain your investments to zero and start over, you reset the clock. And each reset doesn't cost you months. It costs you years, sometimes decades, 3 to 6 months of expenses in cash. Boring. Unsexy. Absolutely critical. It's the wall that stands between your portfolio and the emergencies that would destroy it during the years it's most vulnerable. Lever 3. Measure what matters. Stop comparing yourself to the compound interest chart. Those charts are designed to sell you on the end state. They show the hockey stick. They don't show the long, flat handle you have to hold on to for years. Instead, track the things that actually matter before the crossover. Your savings rate. Your net worth in absolute terms. The distance between where you are and the crossover point. Celebrate the milestones that aren't on the chart. $1,000 saved. $5,000 saved, $10,000, $25,000, $50,000. Not because compounding is doing much at those levels, but because every dollar you stack is closing the distance to the point where it will. Think of it this way. You're building a runway. The plane doesn't take off at the beginning of the runway. It takes off at the end. But every foot of pavement you lay down matters because without the full runway, the plane never leaves the ground. Let's zoom out. Because this isn't just about Lisa. The compounding crossover reveals something that the personal finance industry doesn't like to talk about. Compounding is real. It's powerful. Over a lifetime, it is genuinely one of the most important forces in building wealth. But it's not fair. It rewards the people who already have the most. The bigger your base, the harder it works for you. The smaller your base, the more invisible it is. That doesn't mean you shouldn't invest with whatever you have. You absolutely should. Every dollar matters, but it means you should go in with your eyes open. You should know that the first 5, 7, even 10 years might feel flat, that the growth might feel insulting, that you might wonder why the magic everyone promised hasn't started yet. It hasn't started yet because you're still building the runway. And that's not failure. That's the process. So if you're in the flat years right now, here's what I want you to hear. You're not behind. You're not doing it wrong. You're doing the hardest part. You're laying pavement that nobody will see or congratulate you for. But it's the pavement that makes everything after it possible. Pair your investing with an aggressive, clear-eyed effort to grow your income and protect your savings. Because that's what gets you to the crossover. Not time alone, not patience alone, but the combination of time, patience, and a base large enough for the math to finally matter. The crossover is real. And now you know exactly where it is and exactly what it takes to reach it. Stop staring at the curve and start building the runway. If this changed how you think about compounding or about your own money, subscribe to this channel. We run the numbers that personal finance gurus skip over so you can make real decisions with the full picture, not just the highlight reel. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you in the next one.